My mother became a Jehovah's Witness when I was 10 years old. Immediately, she began indoctrinating me into the religion. In time, it became my identity. I participated in meetings. I went out in service. At 18, I got baptized. I auxiliary pioneered. I was not a casual member. I was a true believer. But at the age of 35, I left the organization for good. Why? Because the evidence left me no choice. I had to face the facts, no matter how devastating. And make no mistake, leaving the organization was the most painful and traumatic experience of my life. It didn't happen overnight. There was no road to Damascus moment when the scales fell from my eyes. I didn't wake up one morning and realize, hey, the last 25 years of my life were all a lie. Instead, it was a slow death by 1,000 paper cuts, brought about by one more petty rule that went beyond the scriptures, one more needless burden piled on by the governing body, one more demand from the leaders to ignore the difference between what was said and what was done. By itself, each of those paper cuts could have been disregarded. Slap a Band-Aid over it and move on, right? It's just a little thing. In time, those many little things added up to one big thing. Before I knew it, I had so many cuts covering me that the last drops of my faith and trust just bled out. And if you think that's bad, the same people who sliced me up also blamed me for noticing the damage. According to Jehovah's Witnesses, there's never a good reason to leave the organization. People only leave because they're prideful, stubborn, sinful, or weak. They never leave because they've been hurt, discouraged, betrayed, or just simply exhausted. The best reason to leave is understanding that claims made by the Watchtower are false. They promise a grand future of eternal youth in a perfect paradise. They promise a brotherhood of true friendship and love. They promise spiritual refreshment in a harsh and unjust world. Above all, they promise they are the one true religion, and all others are false. Those are extraordinary claims. To quote a famous teacher, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. What evidence did the Watchtower offer? Little more than cherry-picked scriptures, multiple failed predictions, and teachings that must not be questioned no matter how often they change or even completely reverse. But even worse than faulty reasoning were the draconian dictates that hung over the congregation. Law took priority over mercy, rules over compassion, and judgmentalism over love. An infrastructure of legalism resulting in a culture of blind, unquestioning obedience. Looking back, I wonder how I lasted as long as I did. But I guess I stayed for the same reason as many others. I was caught in a web of emotional blackmail. Leaving meant losing friends and loved ones forever. I tried to leave quietly. I didn't discuss my reasons with anyone. I didn't try to persuade others that the Watchtower was wrong. I didn't try to drag anyone out with me. The way I saw it, if leaving was painful for me, then why would I want to inflict that same pain on someone else? If the people I were leaving behind were happy being Jehovah's Witnesses, then I didn't want to ruin that for them. On the other hand, if some were unhappy as witnesses, then they had reason enough to leave on their own, and they didn't need me to convince them. There were reasons beyond that to keep my mouth shut. I didn't want to be labeled an apostate. If you were never a Jehovah's Witness, then you wouldn't understand how loaded that word is. I still loved people in the organization, and I wanted them to still love me. I couldn't bear the idea of them talking about me after I was gone in that same derisive way that they spoke about others who left. Oh, him? Yeah, he became an apostate. Then there was the fact that I just wanted to move on with my life. I didn't want to be one of those people who turn a trauma into a lifelong crusade. You know the type. No matter what the conversation, no matter what the topic, they always find a way to make it about their cause. It becomes their whole identity, their defining feature. I hate to use a cliche, But I didn't want the watchtower living in my head rent-free for the rest of my life. I didn't want to give them that power. After I left, I finally got married and had children. Naturally, my wife knew about my past. It wouldn't have been right to keep it from her. But I never spoke about it around our kids. I didn't want them to know that I ever had anything to do with Jehovah's Witnesses. I didn't want them touched by it. I didn't want the poison trickling down onto them. As I record this, I'm on the eve of my 61st birthday. I left Jehovah's Witnesses some 25 years ago. I've been out for as long as I've been in. So after all this time of remaining silent, why am I talking about it now? Because pretending it never happened didn't work. I still live with the pain. I'm still haunted by getting banished from loved ones' lives. I miss them. I have a wish. Sadly, it's the worst kind of wish, the kind that never comes true. I wish that some of those I left behind would stumble upon this video, watch it, and understand that I'm not a traitor. I'm not an enemy, and I'm not dirty, a leper to cry out unclean to anyone who comes near me. I left because I had to. I'm not an apostate. I'm just a guy who couldn't go on pretending to believe what I couldn't believe. I didn't leave the watchtower because I'm a bad person. I left the watchtower because it wasn't the truth. Since then, the life I've been able to live, the love I've been able to find, the love I've been able to give is proof that I made the right decision.